in helping President Johnson come to an understanding of how best to approach the problem of South Vietnam. They lacked imagination because they approached the problem within the box of the Cold War, which limited the range of options available to the president. I would argue that today President Obama has been similarly ill-served by equally unimaginative advisors. People like National Security Advisor James Jones, Secretary of Defense Robert Gates, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, all of whom I think adhere to an existing consensus with regard to national security policy, a consensus that was, in a sense, affirmed and strengthened as a consequence of the 9/11 attacks, and which, to the present moment, at least within Washington, among our leading politicians, has not been questioned, despite the failures of the past 8 or so years. And so when President Obama gets together with his equivalent of McGeorge Bundy and Robert McNamara, he gets presented with a range of options that basically say, Mr. President, you can do anything you want to do. Here's your choices: 10,000 more troops, 20,000 more troops, 30,000 or 40,000. They are unable to conceive of a basis for national security policy that does not involve the increased commitment of American military resources.
You're a retired colonel. You went to West Point, is that right?
That's true.
Did your son go to West Point?
No, he did not.
No. I mean, just for people, I know you don't like to talk about your son, but who died in Iraq in 2007. But I was wondering your thoughts as you watched the speech last night of President Obama at your alma mater, at West Point, as they panned over the audience and you saw those hundreds of young cadets.
Well, we now have a pretty well-established tradition in this country, and I regret this tradition deeply, in a tradition of a president wishing to be seen as a commander-in-chief, using American soldiers as props. I think it may well have been Ronald Reagan who was the first to initiate this practice. Every president since Ronald Reagan, regardless of party, has adhered to this practice, and President Obama did last night. I think it is really showing disrespect to American soldiers to use them for political purposes, and I wish that the politicians or the political advisors who arrange these sort of events would cease to do that.
Professor Bacevich, I'd like you to ask if you'll stay with us. We're going to go to break, and we'll also be joined by journalist Nir Rosen, who is recently back from Afghanistan, who's written extensively about his experiences in Iraq and Afghanistan. With us now, Andrew Bacevich, professor of history and international relations at Boston University, retired colonel and Vietnam War vet, author of The Limits of Power. Stay with us. Mitchell. This is